Oh, because you were like arm stuff. So I'm like, did you notice that my James Avery bracelet is back?
Is that what you were looking at?
Because I was like, did he notice that this is back? Because it broke. I've had this. I love my little James Avery bracelet. It's back.
That was not in our production studio.
I know, but I'm so glad it's back. I felt weird without it. Weird without it.
Here we go. AOC, SOC.
Oh, we were having so much fun talking about sandwiches and chips on sandwiches, and now it's like, wah, wah. Or do we have a record scratch sound?
Were we though?
Dad.
Were we?
Oh, okay, Leilani, you bake a regular peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Put a little butter in the frying pan. Touch it on one side, move it around, flip it over, touch it on the other side, move it around, set it down and cut it open, and it kind of almost oozes out because it almost creates like a little seal around there. Dad, you know what I'm talking about. So there you go. It's really good. Oh, Kathy has jazz hands. Yes.
Well, Kathy's got a lot of dancing hands. Anyways, we got to get back to Catherine. Stay on topic. So we're talking AOC. When I said SOC, that's like the Student Opportunity Center, which is where AOC needs to go because she's misbehaving herself. And so the craziness is, and for some reason I can't get my titles to come up, but there was another part of that. AOC, SOC, something I don't remember.
Well,
what was Nathaniel? What was it? What was my third? It was AOC, SOC, what? Oh yeah, the blank. It's the cartoon What the Blank, because this woman has lost her mind.
What the what?
So what has AOC
really?
done now?
Like her mind wasn't already lost?
It was.
Once again.
So what has she done now? What she's done now is that she has decided that, along with other Democrats now, that we should absolutely get rid of the filibuster. Now, when it was the Republicans in charge and President Trump in office, the filibuster suited us just fine. But the filibuster should be at least, and it's funny because Senator Manchin's trying to play both sides of the carpet here, be brought down to 55 votes rather than 60. And AOC, along with now Jumpin' Joe, Uncle, take all your money, tax you out of your home, Biden.
Oh, my gosh.
Oh, it's going to get bigger. Because inflation's the next one I'm adding.
Inflation is at the roof.
So AOC says we need to get rid of it, tweets on it. Then her crew and band of idiots follow her, right? So, and it's funny.
They will follow her off a bridge into
Well, the troop doesn't do anything until she does something.
Yeah.
So she gets out there on Twitter and talks about how it's robbing the American people of the freedom to vote for people, and that how dare us, how can a minority group be able to stop a majority from what they want to do? Well, isn't that interesting? Let's see. Last time I checked, the gay population is less than 4.2% of the United States. The transgender population is less than 0.4% of the United States. But yeah, we're going to change entire forms of state government and the way we do things to be able to mold around them. We've got corporate America jumping on the bandwagon that's going to feed the head of, again, less than 4.2% of our society and less than 0.4% of our society, with an entire advertising campaign promoting the LGBTQ community, promoting transgenderism, when in fact, none of the transgenderism has still not been removed from a mental illness. It's still considered a mental illness. And the transgender folks that I've met, they do suffer. They tell us they suffer. A couple of them have said, we're almost homeless because we
higher suicide rate?
Yeah, higher suicide rate, the whole 9 yards. So how is it, AOC, that the minority's opinion should be absolutely squelched, blocked out, removed? Let me tell you something. If that's the case, then our policy decisions need to be based on majority rule only. And it's not. And there's a reason for that. Yeah. It's called John Stuart Mill. Maybe you should go read about John Stuart Mills before you try to dismantle this republic, because you don't know your head from a hole in the ground. And I'm sick and tired of hearing you just
Worse than
espouse
that.
garbage because it doesn't move your way. Has anybody read the voting bill, the election bill? 900 pages of archaic garbage. I've read about 45 pages of it.
Do you think she's read any of it?
No, she hasn't read any of it.
She's had her staff who said something. She takes whatever talking point. This is, JP, this is classic liberal and shove liberalism down your throat. They take what they want so it fits their narrative for, and you said it earlier, her Twitter feed and all her Twitter followers. That gets everybody riled up. And then she just sits back and she just rules over the chaos she's created. And is there any legitimacy to it? 90% of the time, probably not.
No.
It's just her feelings on something.
Yeah. So let's talk John Stuart Mills for a moment. Anybody on the crew can pick out what I'm talking about, which part of the republic John Stuart Mills represents. How about this thing called utilitarianism? Anybody ever heard of utilitarianism? Where the majority, sure, they have their opinion, they have the right to move forward, but the minority doesn't get removed from the process. And utilitarianism gives that balance between the majority and the minority opinion so that all opinions can be heard and everything can be laid out for the public display and public debate. And so she's wanting to get rid of utility within our system, which creates an imbalance, which creates a welfare state, which creates a one-party state. And I don't think any of us want that. I don't even think I've never heard a Republican say, let's get rid of every Democrat in office and just have Republicans. None of us, I've never heard anybody say that.
You and I have been doing combined politics. You and I have been doing this combined almost 70 years. Not once, never in our party platform, at the local, at the county, Senate, state, national level. There's been no talk of that. The bipartisan system is what helps our government work. And there's checks and balances and things of that nature. Do I want the Republicans to win and be victorious? And do I want us to have the White House, the Senate, and Congress? Yes. But then that's up to us, we the people, to go and fight for those folks to win.
And it doesn't mean that Democrats don't have a voice.
No,
they don't have an opinion.
Goodness gracious.
And that's what the filibuster does.
Yeah.
The filibuster gives the minority party and the minority people of this country, because that's our voice, the voice to say no. And let's be clear on this too, AOG. First and foremost, you didn't win by that much. And then there's a huge question about, did you really win? Georgia just threw out 100,000 votes. Or not votes, but 100,000 voters out of their system. So maybe there is something to all of this. Because even I was like, well, I don't know. Sometimes elections can go a little bit south, but it's not normally that far off. I mean, heck, again, Georgia just threw out 100,000 people off their voter rolls.
Yep.
I mean, we had people in Michigan that were dead that were voting. Oh,
what was there, a 170-year-old person? What state was that? That 170-year-old voted.
I thought it was Michigan or Wisconsin.
One of those, somewhere up in that neck of the woods. When you talked about Mills, I know he's got some great famous quotes. One of them, liberty lies in the rights of that person whose views you find most odious. So
absolutely.
Again, he has so many great, whatever crushes individuality is despotism. There's some really great Mills quotes that I've really been attracted to over the year because, again, and this is where I think there's a big difference between conservatives and liberals. And you and I have talked about this before, JP. We believe in the individual and we go on the individual's merit. That's why you and I, as people who were in elected office, were able to work with people who weren't necessarily Republicans. Maybe they didn't consider themselves Democrats, but because we were able to work with an individual. I can take somebody who I don't agree with, but there are certain aspects of what they believe in that I believe in, and we can move forward together on that. Again, what I feel like we're losing, it's like this whole agenda is being shoved down our throats, and we're losing that the beautifulness, the greatness that it is in individuality.
Well, why
do we all have to fit into one category?
Well, because that way you're easier to control.
Bing, bing, ding, ding,
I mean,
ding.
hello. One party
we
system.
have a winner.
One party system. China, Russia at one point.
You are way easier to control in that scenario.
Yeah. Chile.
You are right.
Venezuela.
You are correct, sir.
And here's what I don't get. I'll tell you, I do get it. Again, it comes down to, and this is why CRT is such a big thing, it comes down to the very few controlling the many, which is a Rawlsian theory. And so the bottom line is this. The bottom line is stuff it in your pants, and I hope it blows up on you, AOG, because I'm tired of hearing you whine. You don't have the background. You don't have the knowledge. You don't have anything that qualifies you for Congress except for somebody in your district thought it was a good idea, and people bought votes or something. I have no idea.
I still don't know. I still am just
I wonder if we've got Chris coming
How
on.
did that happen?
Yeah, there we go. Admit. Here we go.
Yay, Chris.
So we're going to hit Chris O'Sullivan with a couple things. He's going to join us. He's coming in.
Got his Irish flag on.
Got his Irish flag on. We need to get him to go visual. Chris, where are you at?
He doesn't like that.
O'Sullivan.
No, I hate cameras.
Yeah, but cameras love you, man.
We love you, Chris.
Please.
Hello.
Hey, AOC says you need to shut up and quit filibustering.
AOC can kiss my Irish ass.
Amen to that. My
I knew
Portuguese
that was
one
coming.
too.
I knew that was coming.
You know, I wish Ericott would get into her thermostat and just shut it off.
Oh,
Amen.
Chris.
I'm
Amen
on
to
fire.
that.
See, when I cheat death, I'm allowed to do these jokes.
You are allowed to do those jokes.
You did them before you cheated death.
So, yeah,
That's
I mean,
true.
right now in this segment, we're talking about AOC and her thinking that the filibuster needs to go away. And then her band of idiots jump on after she does on Twitter and tweets out the same thing. I mean, what's your take, Chris? I mean, my take has been that we need to have the minority voice heard, regardless of it being Republican or Democrat, and the filibuster is a must.
By the way, for a country that was founded in an idea, we are sure as hell afraid to hear ideas anymore, and that's a sad state of affairs. And we have to recognize that. Look, I'm tired of being in a country. If I have somebody who has an opinion different than mine, that it's necessary for me to demonize them. That's trying not to cuss here, but you know.
That's so true. You know what? I grew up and heck, I've always loved. I mean, JP debated all over the world. You know, I've always loved debating somebody, whether it be on a stage or just one-on-one or over on the air. I have no problem with. If you're and Chris, my goodness, our years with you at the radio station, there were times where you're like, hey, Kath, I love you. I got to tell you, I don't agree with A, B, and C. And I'd be like, well, you know what? Here's why I do agree, or here's why I think this. We had a great conversation. You bought me a Coke, or you got me some of your Colombian coffee, and we went on our way. And it was all good.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel any ill will towards you. There are people who I do not agree with. I disagree with them. We can disagree agreeably. That was a big thing we used to teach at Dale Carnegie, that why can't you disagree agreeably? What's wrong with that? That's a great thing.
I have an answer to that.
We're not going to be shot real quick. We're not going to be shot in this country for our difference of opinion. But right now, you're about to be, you're literally shamed or bullied if you have a different opinion right now.
I have a theory.
Okay.
We have become, and a lot of it comes from our news and our lack of researching topics. We have now become the nation of, look, in the journalistic business, we no longer do the news. We do affirmation of opinion. Basically, we give the people what they want to hear instead of telling them the truth of the actual story. And for that, we have become glorified drug dealers and pimps.
Become what side? What side?
No, we have become we're in the affirmation business in journalism anymore. We tell people what they want to hear, and they go down the line.
Yep.
What's that?
Yeah. No, go on. You're spot on. You're spot on.
No, we're in the affirmation business. Now, people go to the news to find the news story that agrees with their opinion, even though that may not actually be factual. And by the way, both sides of the journalistic equation, all the way from Newsmax, OAN up to MSNBC, they're all guilty. I mean, we just deal in affirmation instead of fact anymore. And what has happened is journalism has become the new vice. We are no different than drug dealers or pimps. And we give the audience what they want. We give them their little fix, even though it's not actually the truth. Nobody researches facts anymore. In this country, we get our news in 240 characters or less because we have become that lazy in researching the topics. You know why this is? We have all this divisiveness. It's not because of socialism or Donald Trump. It's because we are lazy people. We are too lazy to pick up a book and read. We are too lazy to look back at history. By the way, history, our greatest resource, which we now, for some reason, ignore. Wow, I'm on a roll this morning. I have had no caffeine. Go figure that one. But that's where I'm feeling. And again, this is why you and I get along so well. We can have differing opinions. And you know why we get along so well? Because we both at least researched the topics. We both believe we're coming from a place and not some soundbite from Rachel Maddow or Sean Hannity, who, by the way,